soft skills or human skills. These terms are neglected in our era. People are struggled a lot with the different cultural behaviors and international environments which create many stereotypes. I have a perfect friend and colleague who have many solutions for this. Did you ever think that chocolate is one of the solutions? Today we talk with Gunnar Fischer about the problems that we are facing in the international companies and personal life struggles. You are in Easy Advices. Welcome, Gunnar. How are you doing?
Hey, thank you for having me, Mehmet. It's a nice Monday evening here.
Nice to hear. Today we will talk about, I think, many different topics, but it's mainly related with each other. So I would say that this is the first time I'm doing it in English also. So it will be really comfortable because I'm doing with you. I'm really have a good and actually great time to talk with you about topics. So we can start. I think you're, as we see, like a leader of the chocolate guild. Can we talk about what it is and what's referred to?
Yeah, excellent. I think it's a great starter. So why am I calling myself leader of the Chocolate Guild? Why did I found it at all? So I have a background in software development. I've been working as a software developer for, I think, over 20 years, more than 30 years of programming experience and so on. And one thing that I almost always found a bit odd was that software developers or people who are working in IT in general, they are often a bit the outcasts or the people that nobody else talks to or comes to naturally. People think that IT people are different from the rest. Well, I don't think so. I think the topic is very unusual, but on the human level, they're very approachable, very nice, so social, and so on. And so how to break this silo that I was seeing? I thought, okay, I just start giving out chocolate at work because IT is abstract. It's often very frustrating, and for people who are not in IT, it's they are completely out of the conversation. And chocolate is the opposite. Chocolate is something very concrete. It's usually very enjoyable and everybody can have an opinion about it. So it's perfect as a conversation topic. So I started buying good high quality chocolate and I was giving it out and intentionally without a specific purpose. One thing I disliked when I was working as a software developer was people who were just coming to me and being nice when they wanted something from me, which means they were not nice at all. So I started doing this without a specific purpose, just so. And then when the company where I was working implemented the so-called Spotify model based on the Spotify engineering culture, they said, yeah, and you can form guilds based on your interests. Maybe they thought interest more on a tech topic, but I thought I will found a chocolate guild and I will name myself its leader. So also to make a bit fun of leadership titles that are a bit artificial, but don't mean so much. Nevertheless, it's now almost 9 years later. The chocolate guild is still alive. Just today we opened something very nice. And recently we got even a whole package shipped from Australia. So that was my biggest success. We had people coming from, it was an unprecedented success. Once I started giving out chocolate and communicating around it via a chat tool and at work, people started bringing back. They brought chocolate either from their countries of origin or from their holiday countries. And without saying, so there are not a lot of rules, just okay, share it and enjoy it. People felt obliged to return the favor. So for me, I'm a people optimist, and that was one of my biggest confirmations of most people are nice people and they want to contribute. Nobody wants to be a free rider or just consume. Everybody wants to give back. And it is indeed a great conversation starter. Once people have experienced you in a positive context, it's so much easier to work together on things that might be more abstract and frustrating. So this is how it came into life. And now that I try to blog every week, I named my blog Leader of the Chocolate Guild.
Nice. Very good. Nice. Yeah, but I really admire about you that you find some barrier or some hurdle during this. It can be social, it can be technical. You want to make people life easier or find the tools to solve that kind of problems. I think that's what I really admire about you also. So really, how you can have different ammunition, I would say,
Yeah.
to solve that kind of problems related with the cultural or people management, not management, of course. I know that you really hate the resource word as a people in the companies, but what you have another way to solve the barrier problems or anything related with this.
Yeah. It's actually one of my life topics or life themes. I grew up with many, many international visitors coming to my parents' home. And by the age of 10, I had met people from all over the world in our own home, except Antarctica, but I think that's okay. And at that time, it was still a time of the Cold War. And having had people from the other side of the iron fence at our home and experiencing, hey, it's totally natural. People can get along. Yes, there are some differences in how we do things, what we like. But if we want, we will find an agreement. This is how I started in life. Maybe this also created a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think most people are actually interesting and nice people, yes, there will be some differences, but we can overcome them. I see this now more and more. The second part that actually shaped me a lot was when I was in university. Already in the first semester, the teaching was, okay, look out for people from different disciplines. If you want to tackle a really tricky problem, it's not good if you have 10 people who know the same or do the same. It's better to have 10 different people who look at the same stuff from different perspectives, and then you can combine your knowledge. So the drive to really bridge those silos was very, very strong from the beginning. It was a bit like my starting position. I understand that people sometimes also want to be among their peers, among people who are similar to them. It might be less stressful or give them some rest. It can be good to discuss topics that you share. It can be important for professional growth that you can learn from people who do the same like you. Nevertheless, bigger companies exist because the assumption is, okay, if we combine our forces, we achieve something better than if every one of us had his or her own small business. And I think sometimes in bigger environments, this is a bit forgotten and people start to think that, okay, every department is like a molehill and we are all isolated and this is the natural course of things. And I totally disagree with that. I do believe that the very basics are simple to agree. They are not always simple to put into practice, but like with many things in life. So a certain level of tolerance, a certain level of curiosity. So being, what might the others have to contribute? What might this be about? And then, of course, friendliness. How this plays out might already differ a lot among different cultures. So there's of course studies of what makes cultures different, and basically cultures are often different responses to similar questions or similar challenges. But either they developed historically in a different way, or the context where they were developed was a bit different. So it's important to find out, okay, my way of doing things, so what's normal for me might not be the only answer to it. And you need to become actually a bit less sharp on your own culture over time. My favorite example is, I'm from Germany originally. Germans, the stereotype is, okay, we're very exact, we're very organized, very disciplined, but we are not very good at being spontaneous, improvising, saying, come on, it's not so important. So during my time as a student, I intentionally went for 1 year to Italy because I wanted to learn how to become spontaneous. And it might sound a bit strange that I planned to become spontaneous, but it worked very, very well. Since this time, I became maybe a bit less German in this regard, a bit more, come on, how important is it really? And yeah, there are some things where you need to be on time, but many other things where it's like, if you're 5 minutes later, or how much does it actually matter? So where I'm a bit more thinking about it, balancing it out. So the price of that is that sometimes maybe some countrymen might think of me like, he's a bit strange or crazy. and that's okay. That's the price of being interculturally competent.
I see. Yeah, perfect example, I would say. Uh, I'm really wanna understand that every time people like they're thinking that like a communication, it's like a commune. The root of the word even makes that a commune. So you need to find, I think, the way to from your side and from the other side and make it a combination of and make the better version of yourself. That's
Yeah.
will give you a better solution, I would say. I would also, I know that you're creating uh, solutions in your personal life by using with Kanban or like Scrum or like company solutions to your personal life also. So what do you think about that? That can also help you to create, solve that kind of international cultural thing, or how we can handle that ammunition also related with the relationships. It can help, or
Oh yeah.
uh,
So there's a lot to unpack here. So on the one hand, I think this is also my IT background comes through. If you get an interesting tool, you begin to ask yourself, where could I use this?
yeah.
And the Kanban as defined in the Kanban guide, where you care about the flow of work, of potential value, that can be basically applied anywhere where you care about the flow of work. So there's also a very interesting book called Personal Kanban. I recently also found an article about basically Kanban descaled to a single person. And I think for self-organization, it can be very, very useful. And instead of having a to-do list with 100 items and you always have a bad conscience, oh, I don't get anything done, actually visualizing, well, what did I do today? What are the 2-3 things that I want to do today? How many things do I have open in parallel? How many things have I started? Does it make sense to have so many? I think it's very valuable to have this. Maybe not to do the full Kanban thing with everything at once, but first of all, this is really a general advice, visualizing what you're doing. Visualization is very good for our brains, helps you a lot. An abstract list of 100 items is like, I don't know. And then, let's say, always thinking, oh, could I use this, what I learned, in another context? That's something that I like to do a lot. Or could I combine two different things that might have seemed to be apart, but that combined give you a new thing? In the case of intercultural competence, one tool that I discovered that I like a lot are liberating structures. Liberating structures is a set, if you want, a set of structures for meetings or sessions. And they are called alternative structures to the established ones like presentation, report, open discussion, moderated discussion, brainstorming. All of those traditional structures have the disadvantage that if you have somebody like me, then one person talks all the time, the others have no chance of getting in. And maybe you have introverts and they need a bit more time to think and they want to speak less words but say more. And if you have this mix, usually the extroverts win because they are faster, they are more outspoken, they like to speak more and then while thinking. So in order to get the best out of everybody, these liberating structures, which are, by the way, free, online available, they force a certain minimum amount of structure with timing and what do we do now. But this frees the people up because, for instance, everybody gets some time to think alone and then you exchange your ideas with maybe one other person or a small group. Instead of talking with 100 people or with 50 people where you think one or two might dominate the discussion. And I think for intercultural communication, it can be very, very useful because speaking patterns, for instance, are different. And decision-making processes are very, very different among cultures. I have not read that much in the literature about it, but I experience it a lot. So, for instance, Germans like to think, okay, when we make a decision, then we stick to it. And in other cultures, maybe you throw in 2-3 options. You say, yeah, we go for it. And while you're executing the first option, you say, let's renegotiate. We do a change and so on. And some cultures like to think about things more in a linear way. Oh, we do step by step, and others are more, no, we do iterations because life is also not linear. Or we come back to it, or we draw circles that get wider and wider, so we slowly build consensus. And to cater for this decision making, I think that most of the traditional structures might not be that good, and the ones where everybody has a say might serve as better. Even if you come from a culture that's a bit more, has a higher power distance, where people in different levels in a hierarchy, where there's more importance to sticking to this, getting basically a feeling for the temperature in the room can be very, very valuable. And the leadership, if you want to make decisions top down, could still say, okay, based on what we hear, this is the decision. And the others might then say, well, we were at least listened to by what we had to say.
I see. Yeah, that is all the introvert, extrovert, that kind of personalities that we really keen on. Besides the cultural, I know that they also created a new version. I heard like ultraverts. It's in the middle. It's
Okay.
because sometimes you feel like introvert, sometimes you feel extrovert.
Yeah.
But I really admire that kind of works also, because in some culture in the east side of the world, it's like if you interrupt someone, it's really a rude thing to do. But I think in here in the Netherlands, if you are not say your word or you didn't give any feedback, then they thought that you're not caring enough.
Yeah.
That kind of outputs I'm getting also for dealing with the cultural way of the things. Do you have any, how we can say, the hardest time to fix that cultural problem, or like a, how you can say, is there a funny one or any thing that you want to share related with the solving that international or introvert extrovert conflicts?
Yeah, first, by the way, I'm also an ambivert. Most people are not
That's the
aware
different
of
one.
it, but I'm an ambivert. That means I have extrovert qualities. I talk a lot. I'm open to people. I'm social and so on. But at the same time, I'm an introvert. So I have books around. I spend a lot of time reading alone. But of course, I'm doing this when I'm alone, so nobody sees me doing this. So when I'm go to the office every day when I can, and then I can talk to people. I'm open to new contacts, but of course work might remain a bit shallow. And then when I really want to focus on a problem, I go into a meeting room. Then I'm totally alone. No exterior influences are with me. And then I also do the reading or the studying for a couple of hours, and then I come back. My best tip here is, this is something I needed to find out for myself, by the way, as well. Finding out how do I feel throughout the day, and when do I have my creative phases. And I found out, I'm actually an afternoon person, which is not so often. Many people assume you're best in the morning, which is not very good. So before my first coffee, I'm not good for anything actually. But in the afternoon, when I've done a lot of small duties during the day and I feel free, then suddenly I get a lot of ideas. I write them down on the white wall, and then the next morning I come in and look at it and say, "Oh, what is this?" So finding out your own rhythm. When are you creative? When is a better time to do standard tasks that you just need to get off your desk is very important, and communicating this to others as well. That was something I also did, for instance, last year. Then I finally wrote it down somewhere and created a manual of me and said, well, this is what I need in the morning. This is when I'm best. This is what I'm struggling with. One thing, for instance, is this is where I'm typically German. I'm a so-called monochronic person. Monochronic means I do one thing at a time, I finish it, and then I do the next. But this is not a universal setting in the world. There are people that are so-called polychronic. They always have maybe radio in the background somewhere or a podcast, and then they're doing something. Then they might do a phone call. Then they start something else. For me, it's impossible for me to get anything done. But for them, if they don't have an extra stimulus, they feel like it's boring or not enough. So they basically have a problem getting this done. So this is an important dimension. The other one that you mentioned is speaking patterns. So where I'm coming from in Germany, it's actually even more extreme. So we think in arcs. So you say something and you end your point, and it's a short pause, and then the next person says something. And talking without a pause immediately afterwards is already, oh, this is something pushy, or the atmosphere is a bit loaded. And the other one would be if you interrupt each other, that's seen as, oh, that's against our monochronic way of talking. We weren't done with this, and you're starting the next thing again. Oh, that's not good. And in other cultures, it might be, oh, you just blend over, or you intentionally say, now we go here, or you park a topic and come back to it. And being aware of what is a good speaking pattern, for instance, it can be very, very important to not come across as either rude or uninterested. And then you mentioned it already in the Netherlands. So in some countries, maybe you think, okay, if everybody applauses or smiles, that was a good thing. In the Netherlands, just like Germany, they're a country where you give direct negative feedback and you're more confrontative as opposed to just hinting at it, giving nuances, and more being more interested in keeping official harmony or relationship harmony. And I experienced this just a couple of months ago when people are saying, you know what, we don't want to hear the good news. We want to hear that you're agreeing with us that there are some bad things, or we have understood that there's a problem. And in other cultures, saying the word problem is already, oh, it's terrible, or are you breaking the harmony? And here it's like, okay, when nobody is discussing with you, when nobody is disagreeing with you, you are sure you have completely lost your audience.
That's true. That's true. And I also thinking like the people are also creating like semantic barriers, like just using the abbreviations or just try to use some heap language like AI. If you say AI and relate it with some words, and people think that, yeah, everybody will listen to me or it will be attractive for everything. That's, I don't know how to fix that kind of barriers also. But if you have any idea about how to deal with the semantic barriers, or with the, how you can say, also for the newcomers, I would say.
Yeah.
When I was work with you, I was one of the newcomers, and I never felt any kind of discarded or get it out. Because I think because you are there, because even the company is not providing any kind of stuff, or they try to give something, you always put a little bit above and really targeted actions that need to be taken. So maybe we can talk about that for the newcomers in the teams or the company, how we can handle these kind of situations.
Yeah. It's another one of my favorite topics, which it also goes back to intercultural context, and that is, if you are in an intercultural community, there will always be newcomers and new arrivals, and their time in your community will be determined by how welcome are they, and do they get something interesting to do? Do they have good experiences? So for me, that was almost a given. You always need to intentionally onboard them. I would go even further. I would say it starts already when if you're talking about new colleagues, it starts with the recruiting, the hiring process, how fast you respond, how much you prepare, how detailed you study the candidate, how good your questions are, as opposed to you rattling off just your bullet point list of steps you do. So I think people are very smart in determining, is this genuine, or is this just we are executing a process on you? And then, of course, the moment, especially the first day, so the first impressions, how people are welcomed, determines a lot how long do they want to stay in a company. And here, I think it's hard to do too much effort. I think even when you're coming from a culture like in Germany, where you like to be a bit more separating between your private life and your office life, or you think, I'm here. I'm here to do a job. You still need this because everybody's feeling nervous or uncomfortable or home a bit out of the water during the first day, like a fish out of the water, and you need to do a lot of effort to onboard them to say, yeah, it's overwhelming the first days, it's all right. And putting in this extra care is important, I would say, especially from your direct line manager and from your future peers. This already will say a lot about the company, or at least your direct environment. And it will say something about, is this a real team? Are they interested in having you? Or is it just a group of professionals who have the same professional background, but they're not working as a team? So this onboarding, and I would even say you don't need to be an expert in onboarding. You can just put yourself into the shoes of somebody who is at a new place and you're nervous. You might feel lost. You want to avoid making any mistake. And the more you say, yeah, no problem, we get this done. Maybe you first drink a coffee. I show you around. We have plenty of time. This will be important. And then for the first month, maybe even for the first half year, because it can take time to onboard you, make it absolutely okay to ask a question and to say, I don't know, can you help me? I think this is one of the things that's missing the most in many companies. People think, oh, if I'm asking a question, I'm unprofessional, or people will find out that I'm not good enough in something. So if you're experienced and you're the colleague who's longer in the company, you need to make it as normal as possible. Even thank people for asking a question. Maybe there was some documentation somewhere, doesn't matter, tell them afterwards. Yeah, it's better to ask than being lost and silent in the background. I've seen it, unfortunately, too often that people work like this. So make it okay to ask a question. That's important.
Yeah.
On the onboarding part, at least, or on how to integrate people. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree, because you always, I'm really big, huge fan of your blog. So it's really nice. I'm always the first one, I think, reading it, just waiting in a corner. But the last one, I think, like, what's the real, for example, agility is and what the people are doing. I think it's the same thing for the onboarding kind of thing, because you want to be sure that everybody can impress, because company says that, okay, we are applying agility and Scrum is our framework, but for the empiricism, one of the pillars, that you need to do some mistakes. You don't know something, you need to fix something, and you will do the mistakes. But nobody wants to talk about any mistakes, or don't want to show that I don't know. That's the thing they're missing, I think. And what really want to talk about that, how you really can apply the cultural shift based on that. You can do some failures in the work, or we are using agility, but we are not 100% applying it for creating a better solution for your complex problems.
Yeah,
I'm using this kind of glossaries because you're also my Scrum master, I would say. And I learned from you what is really Scrum means.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you mentioned before, it's also one of my big topics. I call it theater, playing theater, using words, and then they mean nothing, or you use them in a very different way. But using words and they mean something different. Good, but coming back to the theater thing, using concepts without understanding their meanings, or saying A and doing B, not doing A. And it's something I've been fighting for a long time, and I've grown very allergic to it. And let's say regarding agility or empiricism, there's some pieces of advice that I would say, without using a framework or without saying, oh, we're using agility now, I would start on a very low level, and people who don't know what agility is will see, oh, wait a moment, that's actually pretty simple. The first thing is, I think that's something that everybody should learn from testers, is asking the question, how could we test this?
Yeah.
whatever we want to do, how could we test this? And on the one hand, how could we test whether it works? But also, how could we be proven wrong with what we are thinking will work? What would be necessary for us to abandon this idea or this plan? And it might seem like a small thing, but it's actually a very big thing, although it's a simple question, because it makes all the difference between following an idea and following an ideology. And I prefer to be in the idea business, not in the ideology business. So there must always be a criteria to say, okay, if I see this happening, then I stop and do something else, because then it has been proven wrong. So how could we test this? How could we be proven wrong? How could we measure that we are moving in the right direction? So not only what is our ultimate success criteria, but what would indicate us that we are on the right way? Imagine you're driving or you're going somewhere, you don't have a map and you think you're on the right way. So how long will it take you to say, maybe I should stop and check whether I'm still on the right track?
That's true. That's true. It's really nice to have some guidelines at least, or what to do.
And indeed, I think it's the biggest cultural taboo I see is leaders from certain cultures where where the leaders think they have to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, one of the biggest blockers overall in adopting anything that relates to business agility or an agility of an organization. Because if the leaders on the top need to be right every time, there are very few mistakes that you can admit, and everything is brushed under the rug, and it takes forever to change course. So that's a big obstacle, I would say. So there needs to be a way to say that's not only our goal, that's how we are measuring that we have reached the goal, or that the goal is no longer relevant. And there needs to be a way not to say, oh, we failed, but to say we learned something. We learned that this doesn't work. I mean, if you think about medicine, how do you create a vaccine against a disease? You need to test it. And okay, when you're in stage XY, 90% of all your candidates will drop off. They will not be a success. But you know that you need to have so and so many candidates to have a realistic chance of getting one solution that works. And this is exactly why you should try this at all, because in some contexts, you cannot analyze things upfront to the full, or it would be too expensive or too slow to do it upfront. And it's much better to say, okay, maybe not even for the whole thing you want to do, but saying what's the next step we want to do? How can we know that this is the right step? What do we want to have learned after this? What's the smallest amount of investment that we could do to move forward or to learn something new? And I do believe, without calling it agility, without using any framework, that this mindset can be used in many, many places and disciplines, and is not being used enough in our world.
Yeah, perfect. That's really good part. The people really wants to. I think the upper levels of the companies or the management leaders needs to consider more than because I think they're always understanding the miss part. So they did the investment, for example, creating a PlayStation room in the company, but not giving the chance to fail the experimental kind of things.
Yeah,
that's I can say.
Yeah, it's another of the topics I wanted to start a series on. I want to call it Getting IT Culture Right, and exactly this. So creating buying a ping pong table that's visible where people can play, and that has almost become a laughing stock example of if you need to do this as a company, then you have misunderstood something. But yeah, it's a symbolic way. It's also a kind of theater if you just buy it for that, instead of saying, yeah, wait a moment, what might IT people actually, that will be the first article of the series. What might IT people want? Maybe they want a healthy life, work-life balance. Maybe they want to come home at a predictable time. Maybe they don't want to push endless over hours. Maybe they want to have a chance to have children if they want to have children, and they want to be there for the beloved ones. And this has nothing to do with IT. It has everything to do with humans, and thinking that IT people are so different from everybody else. It's one of the biggest mistakes I see. And then also this experimenting. We know from science, there's a very good book by Daniel Pink, Drive. So the surprising truth, what truly motivates people. And it comes down to very basic principles. Hey, autonomy. Yes, even if somebody else gives me the goal, I want to have some control over how I do my day, what I do when. Mastery, I want to get better at what I'm doing or what I need to be doing. And purpose, of course, I understand how my work fits into a bigger picture. And I think the bigger picture is often what's forgotten. People just get orders, marching orders, and everybody expected to do the things, but things don't work like this in IT. IT being treated like a sandwich shop where you just put in your order and then you get your stuff out. It's the complexity, or how IT, the kind of problems you're solving with IT, they're often seen as something simple to be managed, while it is not very simple to really solve it, with a lot of variables being open, and then also keeping things open for too long and working on something for too long, instead of saying, okay, let's make a break here and let's get some feedback on whatever it is, wherever we are, however ugly and unfinished it looks. But if one of our basic assumptions that we put into our business plan, or whatever it is wrong, then all the money we put into it is wasted. And that's a principle I learned for instance, from Daniel Vacanti, one of the authors of one of the most important books about Kanban. Make your assumptions explicit. And assumptions are what your models are built on. And of course, some people don't like it because they can be proven wrong. But nevertheless, what can I say? Reality will prove you wrong a lot of times. And I think you're making a better impression if you're open and you can laugh about yourself. One thing where I would defend managers at different levels, and it's something I also needed to learn in my life, is especially if you have several levels. So you might give your manager a feedback, oh, you need to be more open to experiments. And he said, yeah, well, I understand your point. The only thing is my goals are determined by my manager above me, and he is not open to it. And maybe somewhere in the so many layers up to the CEO, there's somebody who is not up for it, or who is afraid what might happen. So people being afraid of what might happen if things become more transparent is a very big important blocker to this. And also fear of losing control. There's this nice quote, fear of losing control is important to tackle, not because most of the fear is not real, but so most of the control is an illusion, but the fear of losing it is real and it cannot be ignored. And I think showing also some empathy and understanding what's the context of the specific layer of management. How are they, for instance, measured? So measures can also unfortunately swing in the wrong direction. If you give people unreasonable measures, they will behave in ways that fit to the measure, but that are overall unreasonable. My favorite example is, okay, you have a salesperson and the salesperson gets a bonus based on contracts closed. And then maybe you have a software developer, and once you put your commit to the master branch, then you're officially off the hook. And then you have quality assurance needs to do something in between, maybe operations on the installation, and nobody owns the overall success, everybody just a single piece. And then people ask, why is there nobody wants to take end-to-end responsibility? Well, this is not how you get paid, and this is not how your success gets measured. So in order for people to have an interest to work together, they need to have a shared goal, and it needs to be obvious that they have the same goal. Unfortunately, it's often forgotten. I know it's also not so easy. You still want to look at, okay, who puts in a lot of effort, who pushes very hard, and who just does their job. There needs to be some distinction, of course. But this, hey, what motivates people, it's impressive how often it's either misunderstood or people think they cannot do anything while they could do many things. There are many options. I try to mention a lot of stuff here in the podcast that seem to be very simple steps or questions to ask that, of course, harder to put into action, especially when the situation is a bit more political or with a lot of theater. Nevertheless, I tend to be an optimist regarding people. I think people can solve a lot of problems. It's not that technology will solve them. Technology is only a tool for us to solve problems.
Yeah, that's a good thing to remember, I think.
Yeah.
But we're almost running a little bit time. So I already got many answers that what will be the easy advices to people who are having the struggles based on their daily life, in professional life and also the personal life. But I really want to know if there anything missing from your side that, okay, tomorrow as an employee or as a father, as a your boyfriend, or as a normal single person, I want to be a better international person, or want to have solution for my problems in any area. What you can say more about it? Is there anything that they can do?
Yeah, there is indeed one of the things that I also needed to learn, and this is also why it's good to mention it at the relative end of it. And I recently got reminded of it by the last book that I finished reading. It's called Extraordinarily Badass Agile Coaching. The title is a bit informal. It's a very serious book. There's one chapter, and this is a concept that can also be read online, and is self-care. And that is really intentionally stopping and asking for yourself, okay, when I'm not... So maybe there are many things where if I'm in a relationship, I have to find an agreement with my partner. There will be duties if children or pets are involved. I have friends in other relationships where sometimes I need to act, even if I might not want in the moment. But hey, birthdays cannot be shifted and so on. You should call the people. And at work, oftentimes the bigger decisions are made by somebody else. What could you do? And I think there's a lot. And the concept that this book expresses, as well as other sources, this self-care. So understanding what triggers me. What do I need? How does a good or a very good day look for me? What do I need every day? How can I experience as much of what I need every day? And for me, for instance, my specific answer is, and that is something everybody should ask themselves, I need to learn every day a bit. I need to read every day a bit. So finishing every day, no matter how bad or full the day is, finishing every day with a feeling tomorrow is going to be a different day. I will not start next day like I did this day. It's not like I'm in a hamster wheel and I cannot get out of it. No, because every day I expand a bit, and not only with calories from chocolate, but also with knowledge from learning. And then the other question, and I find this is a bit underrated or not done a lot, something that I ask myself, especially during the Corona time, was what would I regret that I have never learned if I had to die the next day? Yeah. And what would and really, it can be anything like, hey, learning to sing a song in Turkish. Why not? You know that I did this. And this was born out of this. Hey, being curious, what would I regret if I've never tried it? And thinking about this stuff that is not a duty or an upcoming duty or definitely relevant or 100% sure, but more like, okay, I always wanted to do this. So if you're a software developer and you might have a crazy idea of, I learned to play the ukulele, or I learned to make a coffee barista quality espresso or something like this. So things that might not be immediately related to your work that you're passionate about. Because the things you're passionate about are the ones you will follow up when it gets hard, when the hard parts come in, when the backlash comes in, and we keep them up. And you have a chance of combining topics where nobody else might have seen a connection, or even you might not have seen the connection, except that you were passionate about both of them. And this really asking, okay, where's my passion? Because this will open basically new doors or new windows into your future, where you learn, maybe you do a career switch, or maybe you shift into something else than what you were doing before. And I think this is really the best, instead of accepting what people present to you anyway, or where everybody's looking at what resonates with me, what is maybe a secret passion of mine or secret curiosity, and exploring it in a safe way. It does not have to pay off. Don't think about casting shows on TV. Think about, what if nobody looks? What do I want to do regarding knowledge, skill, whatever it is? And don't go into this, oh yeah, what if my manager says, why would you need this? No, do it for yourself. If there's no initial support from your company, find other ways. One finding that I always have is there's a lot of high quality online material if you know where to find it, and it's even for free. There's high quality material to learn, to self-study, to get better at what you're doing, and you don't even need to invest any money. So it's only your time and your focus that you need to put into it. And I find it a shame if people don't know about these options that exist. If they don't want to learn it, that's totally fine. But this is why I have always a lot of links, and I share them, because I think more people could learn things that are for free, that have high quality, that can bring a lot of value if it's the right solution for you in this moment. And this never giving up and always striving to be a better version of yourself on the next day. I think that's the really important thing. Not standing still, because standing still is really like going backwards.
Yeah. By the way, that Turkish song, the best one I heard as a cover edition for you from you. That's
Thank you.
It was a really nice one. And I would say that, yeah, like atomic habits, like James Clear said, like even 1% creates a huge snowball effect at the end of the year. So that's what I try to do also. That's why I created this podcast, because I like to share what I know, and next to me, everybody who I know wants to share their voice and the knowledge. I think this platform can help it. Even one person can get a little bit better version of him or herself. I'm really happy about it. So before closing, again, I'm really thank you to accept my invitation and making this perfect conversation with you. Before quitting, all the mic is yours. Whatever you want to say before quitting, it's your stage.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe one last thought. Something that has helped me a lot in my career, in my work experience, was okay. Sometimes you're the only one who's passionate about something, that can make you feel very lonely at times. So my advice would also be, seek out similar-minded people. So they might not have the same view on things, but they are burning for the same topic. So make a community of practice or something. At work, I'm the member of the Tech Squad, which is 50 experts from IT, from different fields of IT together, that do things that are a bit more extrovert, like writing articles, going to conferences, going to podcasts. And the energy that we all get from this is incredible. And especially during the rainy days at work, you get reminded of, okay, what else can happen? And it helped me, for instance, to become a conference speaker, to do things I'd never done before, where I didn't even know that I could do this. So yeah, don't do this alone. I always have some colleagues in the back who support me, who give me the right inspiration, who give me the good conversations. And another part is also why I like coffee. I like coffee more than for instance drinking beer, because coffee makes you awake, and you can do it at work. So yeah, seek like-minded people. If you think if you're working alone, or you don't have anybody at your direct workplace, look for maybe other offices, or start looking for a meetup group, for instance, where you find something that you want to practice. My experience is that people are always curious about newcomers who want to try out something. Find the right community for yourself, where you can learn and grow as a person.
Yeah, perfect. Again, thank you, and hope to see.
Thank you.